From Central Illinois, it's the Sofa King Awesome Show. Rock, metal, 80s, retro. It's not just good, it's Sofa King good. Oh, baby. Listen every Friday wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, even YouTube. And now, Sofa King Awesome. Here are your hosts, Thundersticks, on the Sofa King Awesome Show.
Welcome, everyone, to another amazing episode of the Sofa King Awesome Show. Today, we are joined by a badass local band photographer, mainly what he's been doing, Mr. Joshua Dempsey of JD Photography.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm
good.
Good. Better.
Glad to have you here, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is something else. I can't get over how well received I am in this little group. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Cool. Yeah. Are you based out of Springfield?
Yeah. I live in Springfield. I was born and raised in Taylorville. Been in Springfield about 10 years now.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. What led you into this? Have you been doing a lot of local shows recently, or did I run into you like the right time at the Curve Inn?
You ran into me about the right time. I got into doing local stuff, just live stuff, about a year ago. Mm-hmm. I started just street photography, walking around, taking photos of stupid shit, graffiti downtown,
right.
People walking by. And I happened upon Dumb Records one night, not a place I wasn't unfamiliar with, but they had some kind of fundraiser going on, and it turned out to be the fundraiser for the skate park in Taylorville, which is my hometown.
Okay.
Actually, my brother's the superintendent of the park district down there, too.
Okay, cool. Shout out.
Yeah. Pretty proud of Big Brother.
Hell yeah.
So I just started taking some photos, and turned out some of the people I actually knew from growing up in Taylorville, and it just kind of flowed from there.
Sparked that.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine that I actually consider to be a mentor that is a photographer in the St. Louis area. Keith Brake. He shoots a lot for Midwest Rewind.
Okay.
Amazing.
Shout out Keith. Yeah.
Keith. Oh, yeah. Check his stuff out. He's an amazing photographer and just a really good guy.
Right.
So I'd seen what he had been doing, and him and I would just kind of talk, and I got into it. Actually, the very first thing I ever shot was my son-in-law's senior recital for school. He was a music ministry major, and he had his senior recital where it was just like him, and it was during COVID. So guests were restricted, so I'm like, I'm not going. I want to make sure his family's there.
Yeah, sure.
Well, his mom and dad ended up with COVID, and my daughter calls me, I think, the morning of.
And you're the one.
Dad, can you bring a camera? Yeah, sure. Not a problem, I get down there. It's in Greenville, Illinois. Forgot my fucking SIM card, my card for my phone, for my camera. Had to go to Revco, pick up one, come back real quick. And I'm texting Keith. I'm like, hey, I'm going to shoot this live thing. Never done this before. He's like, well, go out and take photos of ducks. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm doing this right now.
Right, yeah.
And so I did. I just went with what his basic settings he told me to try. And I shot all these things. And I'm sending them back a few hours later. I sent him back, dude, I took 3,000 photos. And he's like, of fucking ducks? I'm like, no, dude. I ended up, and I went through and I edited, and I had really not a lot of knowledge of what I was doing editing these things, but they turned out pretty damn good.
Well, that's part of the experience, too, because I will agree with you there. I think we're both very well aspiring videographer and photographer, you know what I mean? Like, when I came from my studio of mainly videography, my partner did both, and I just see, I'm not saying it's oversaturated at all, but I think, because in the band space, I don't see a lot. I see a lot of photographers everywhere else doing everything else, like wedding photos, baby photos, family photos, this, that, the other, you know what I mean?
That's honestly something that, I like doing portrait work. It's not something I'm interested in necessarily doing and pushing.
Right.
Because I don't like that posed photo. I'm not good at telling people where to stand, how to look.
Right.
I prefer more like a lifestyle candid portrait.
Right.
And I've had some good luck with some of that stuff because I have to learn, develop a rapport with the people and kind of, figure out what's going to get them smiling and having fun.
I think that's, I agree with you too on that. Because I like directing, but like not making people pose, so to speak, I like, not forcing the.
Yeah, it doesn't look natural.
Yeah. Yes. So that's just where. Yeah.
And I'm a pretty firm believer that photography and portraiture should look natural.
Right. Yeah. Like you. Yeah. It's you captured the right moment at the right time and just. But So with all these local bands, I've probably seen you at least, I mean, a dozen shows.
Yeah, and I mean, and part of that was because you were actually started including me into it.
Right.
You were inviting me and said, "Hey, are you coming out for the next one?" You know,
Right,
it was like,
yeah.
I'm an old dude. I'm not old, but I mean, 45. I'm gonna be a grandpa soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, it's still kind of cool to be invited to do something with people and making friends at this age.
No,
it's cool.
I totally wholeheartedly agree with you. You know, we'll get into the story in just a little bit, but there was a few days where you hadn't liked any posts, and I was not, I don't want to say like worried, but I was just like, the thought did flow through my head, and I'm like, it drew me to your page, and I'm like, well, he hasn't been active on there, you know, like, I hope he's okay, because I mean,
Right,
once you
yeah.
see, you know, I notice little shit like that when somebody doesn't
and I
like something, and I'm
appreciate
like, what's he doing? You know what I mean?
Silence speaks more than anything else.
Oh yeah, when you go from being active to not for 4 or 5 days, you know, when you're posting at least one thing or something a day,
Yeah,
you know.
You know, to get into it, you know, the whole month of May, I hardly took any photos.
Yeah.
I shot my daughter's baby shower. I don't remember what day that was, but that was pretty much the only time I went out with my camera and took any photos for anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is just recently, just Thursday night, I had a real rough night. I've
Mm-hmm.
been dealing with a bipolar disorder for 25-ish years.
Yeah.
So I know like what the warning signs are. I have some self-awareness, and I actually let those go far. You know, I let them go too far. So it was Thursday night was beyond rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Friday morning, I wasn't feeling any better. So I called my son at work and I said, "Hey, bud, it's time to take Dad to the hospital."
Right.
So I self-admitted and to reestablish care, get back on my meds because I'd lost a job about 6 months ago and lost insurance. So, you know, psych meds are expensive.
Yeah.
I don't take a lot of meds, but still, it was like
Those ones.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm also doing my self-care stuff. I'm in the gym 6 days a week, or not, that's a lie. I try to be in the gym 6 days a week. Practice yoga. I meditate daily, but still, I just needed that extra thing of that medication that I was thinking, you know, at the time, it's either, hey, I feel really good, so I don't need my medicine, or I feel like shit, so my medicine's not working, so I'm not going to take it either way.
Right.
You know, it's just that stupid mind trap.
Right.
And it got out of control, like I said. So I self-admitted, and I spent some, well, originally it was supposed to be 5 days, but I ended up spending 6 days in the hospital. It was not a pleasant experience at all.
Do you want to touch base on that?
Oh, yeah, I do, actually. And it's not out of malice or spite or try to get somebody in trouble. It's not even out of my concern. Concern for me, it's more of the people that are still there, the staff that's there. So, you know, I spent 7 hours Friday in the emergency room and was not offered food or drink for 5 hours. So I'm laying there and I'm like, I'm not in the right state of mind. My 19-year-old son's freaking out because this is pretty much his first time dealing with this as an adult.
Yeah.
And never really even thought of it until they moved me somewhere else and somebody said, "Hey, do you want a sandwich or something?" Like, wow, this is crazy. So, you know, didn't even kind of started clicking later when my mind was starting to get back to where it was supposed to be. So I finally get admitted to a room and I start noticing like there's dried urine on the toilet. It's not mine.
Right.
I don't know whose it is. I don't want to touch that. If I have something open on my leg and it touches, I'm getting sick or could, you know, possibly.
Yeah.
And then the more I look, there's food spatters on the walls in this room. There's boogers everywhere. Not my boogers.
Right.
You know, I can't blame it on my son. He wasn't there.
Right.
And he's even right above my bed. There's this red splatter of stuff right above my head where I was sleeping. And I'm like, man, I hope that's not blood.
Right.
You know, so turns out it's just food, but still, that's disgusting. That's the conditions they're putting their psych patients in. And I was like, I made complaints.
Right.
I talked to nurses. I talked to techs. I talked to, you know, staff. And nobody came in to clean my room. Nobody even acted like they were hearing what I was saying. You know, they're hearing it. It's coming in their ears, but it's not.
One ear, not the other.
Yeah, it's they're not listening.
To them, they're like, they get so many whatevers a day. You're just a
Oh,
nobody.
yeah.
You're nobody to them.
This is just some other crazy guy that's just bitching about nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And I could see where that might happen with some people that in that staff. The hospital's understaffed. There's a nursing shortage. A lot of it has to do with what nurses can get for their contract pay, like if they travel.
Yeah.
You know, if a girl can go or a nurse, goes and do contract after contract and make $250,000 a year, go do it. I don't blame you. But the hospitals can't keep their long-term staff employed that way.
Right.
So there's a lot of the longer term staff that are just kind of maybe going through the motions, a little jaded.
There for a paycheck.
Yeah, I've been here for 15 years. I'm vested here, blah, blah, blah. You get that. And I can see where there's burnout. But it was bad. It was rough. It's not my first trip. I'm a repeat offender. I've been in there at least a dozen times.
So that was Memorial's psych ward?
Yeah. And I'm not going to name any names of anybody that was involved because I don't think that's fair.
Right.
Because I'm not trying to get people in trouble. I'm trying to say that you guys really need to improve your conditions. It's not conducive for these people to recover.
Right.
So as I'm there, the next day I'm checked in and somebody comes in to give me medicine on Saturday. And I'm like, what's that? Well, doctor prescribed you an antidepressant. I haven't seen a doctor. I'm not taking that. And they're like, nurse is like, okay, I get it. I want to see a doctor before you give me medicine. And I want to,
yeah.
A doctor's going to look at your chart and is going to make a decision. Oh, we're going to use this.
We're going to evaluate you.
Right. But they're not coming in and having a conversation knowing that, because I'd been sick. I've had this for over 20 years. I've taken everything. They're not going to know just by glancing through my chart that 10 years ago I may have taken that and it wasn't effective.
Right.
So, I want to be able to have a conversation, have the doctor actually do the scientific
look at you
yes.
and tell you, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, so later on they come in to draw blood. I'm like, what's this for? This is just a basic something or other. I'm like, no, you're not, no. I don't feel that's a necessary test. I feel like you're just trying to gouge me for money on that one. I said, blood test is what, $1,000? I don't have insurance. So I'm like, no, you're not doing that. Again, I say, hey kid, nothing against you. I just, I don't agree with that.
Right.
And unfortunately, I had to learn this the hard way because years ago I had a different doctor that I overprescribed, and I trusted that doctor. I have stage 3 kidney failure because I trusted that doctor. He had me on a high dose of lithium for about 8 years and never really monitored my levels. It came out, 10 years ago, I was told, hey, we think you have Parkinson's disease. We need to start talking about end stages. Turns out I was over-medicated. I walked down the hallway with my neurologist, and she's like, oh, good news, you don't have Parkinson's. But let's talk about this list, all these medicines you're taking. So with the help of the neurologist and a good friend of mine that's also a doctor, I tapered off. I started lifting again, back in the gym, learning to practice yoga, meditation, mindfulness, stuff that I can do myself to try to control this. And I actually went, I think, 5 years without medication and no episodes.
Right.
Which is amazing. Because I typically rapid cycle, so I'll go up and down throughout the day.
Right.
And it just depends on where you catch that peak or valley with me. So it was great. And I started back to work because I was on disability for a while because of it. So back to work, and I actually had a pretty high-stress job for several years. Worked for Walmart in management, but it was asset protection. So I didn't just catch thieves. I made sure that the store wasn't losing money. My first year there, I recovered probably $250,000 for the store I was in, just by fighting off insurance claims.
Right.
But I also got good at catching thieves, which is something I still do as a part-time basis. And I got to participate in some cool training on learning how to interview and interrogate people that don't want to talk to you.
Really?
Yeah, and I did 30 or 40 of those. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But it was cool. So, it's with my disorder, it's not it's a win. So that was a good part of my life where I was able to do that.
Right.
So now it's the win part of my life where, we know that this decline is going to happen. This is when it's happened. Yeah. I don't have control over it. I can't control whatever triggers my mood swings and emotions. So
no, So I'll touch base with you on that. So ADHD, severe with this guy over here. So hyperfocusing,
right?
ADHD paralysis, overstimulated, like hyper expressive.
Right.
So we'll break down all the technology or, the stuff that you see. A lot of it is hyper-focused and going in depth on learning how to use all of it. Now, some people will hyper-focus for 2 weeks, or it could be 2 months, a week, 3 days. I mean, the timeline, it just varies with everybody, anybody. And then you will never touch it again. You know what I mean? So, like you're saying, learning how to control something,
Right.
I took my hyperfixation, which was drums and music and computers and cool shit, and making that whole thing my hyperfixation. All right. So
and you're really ambitious. You've got all kinds of projects going. You got all kinds of fire, irons in the fire. And it's like, I respect that. I'm like, this is really cool what this guy's doing.
But it's also like a blessing and a curse, though. Because, I mean, like, I talk to homeowners and stuff, too. And I'm like, well, I do all this stuff. Like, I got this, I got that. And they're like, what are we doing? Like, she's a teacher and he's, a CEO. I think they got really good jobs and they probably have a really good income. And I'm not rich by no fucking means at all. And I just, I was like, I envy your life because you get to come home and spend time with your kids. Not saying I'll spend time with my kid, but I'm like, I wish my brain could slow down. Would I medicate? Probably not. You know what I mean? So I'll break it down. Sometimes I think weed makes it worse.
I was hoping you were going to bring that up because that was something I wanted to touch on too. For me, I've experimented with weed. I've never smoked weed until I was like 42. So just a few years ago.
Yeah, less than 10 years.
I'm still learning, and I found out like a good indica hybrid keeps me calm.
Yeah.
So, Thursday night, if I wouldn't have got stoned, I don't know, maybe I would have actually done it that night.
Right.
So to me, I hear people say it's, devil's lettuce. No, man, that's God's lettuce. He put that down there for us to use and to use how we feel best. Really.
I'm sure I probably should do a little bit of research on it because there are some days, and so I'll touch base on ADHD paralysis. All right, what does that mean? So the definitions that I do get, or my definition that I will say is, I know, and you can call it lazy. I mean, you have so much shit to do, right? Like I could be folding the laundry, doing the dishes, yada, yada, yada. But I will just sit there.
Yeah.
On my phone or just sit there.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
And get just trapped. And I'm like, it's not like a depressive funk, but it's a funk. And it's like your inner monologue. He talks to me. He's like, hey, man, you should probably go downstairs and do a drum video. You ain't done one in a while. Let's get out of this funk, So I might go downstairs and practice. I might play that song that I want to shoot a drum video to 4 or 5 times. And then I'm like, I'm just done. I'm like, well, tonight wasn't the night, Or, like I said, the hyperfixation. It's a lot of hobbies. So I try to keep it in this realm of stuff. So I had that camera, right? Mm-hmm. It's a badass camera. It is a badass camera. What else can I do with that camera? I'm like, shoot product commercials, all this stuff, And then we had talked about the podcast with a buddy of mine, and then I was running like USB mics into like, a USB extension that had like 8 mics. You know what I mean? We could do all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then I found this, and when I got this, I heard how good I sound, right? And I'm like, and I was like, I haven't done this, but I'm like, and it comes with all these little presets, you know what I mean? Do all these things. Right cool. Answer, wrong answer. Just have a little bit of fun, right? Now you can program to do any of those. So these can be 2 different sounds per thing. So you can have like 16 sounds. I wanted to like read books, like Jonathan walks through the doorway through a door and then the door creaks. You know what I mean? And it's a door creaking, like
that would be
footsteps, cool. Like so. It was like my brain works like that. So it just fires off all these ideas of what I could do with this, what I could do with the camera, what I can do with that laptop. You know what I mean? What are when they say possibilities are endless, like my brain rams through the possibilities of what,
all of them.
Yeah. What's outside the box? What can't I do with this?
Right.
And so bringing this mobile, you know what I mean? I might have to bring a few lights, but it's really not a whole lot to set up because I know what I'm doing. It might take like 15, 20 minutes to set up, go and do all those things. And knowing how to do it's half the battle, and just speed. Each time you're doing quicker. Now, the podcast itself, I'm like, it's doing really well. What else can I do with it? I'm talking to all these bands. What else can I offer?
Right.
I have a badass camera. I already have experience shooting music videos and editing and doing everything else. Why not use the connection? I'm like, nobody has to look for one. You know what I mean? We can already plug it on here. It's a badass camera. You get the revisions, you know what I mean? Right. It's, the person's local, he's into music. He is, like, I just feel like it's a win-win for everybody because it's affordable. Like, like, I don't know, like I said, we discussed on going a charging route, like maybe each band because editing and shit ain't free. I mean, yeah, we enjoy coming to shows. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're paying to see you already.
Right.
You and everybody else.
Yeah.
And whether or not that, you know, I did a video for someone else while I was already at a show and pumped it out just because, or you took some pictures of someone that was there just because, and you get it for free, and then we start charging and you don't want to pay that, well, we paid to see you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And we drove here,
and I can totally see both sides of it too.
I do
like,
too.
you know, these are, you know, sometimes the incident you're speaking of is something we just spoke about. These are just young kids, maybe even just out of high school. I know they don't have a lot of money.
Right.
I said to the kid, he wanted me to give him some more photos. I'm like, yeah, sure, man. I'll put together a portfolio for like 10, 12 photos for, I don't know, $35.
Right.
He's like, oh, dude, I didn't want to pay.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to pay to see your. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't want to pay to see his band. I want to pay to see all the bands.
Yeah.
But I was actually there for another band that played later.
Yeah.
You just happened to be playing already.
30 photos edited. You get, you know, and then you even narrow that down to 15 from there, you know? So you're like, all right, like these 15, these are good for them. I like that. You know what I mean? I would want to pay. This is just me. This is coming from a different standpoint. I see what the work goes into. That's the problem is like they think that you just took this picture with your camera and then just downloaded it to your computer and that's it.
No, I don't know how long it takes you once you've been out shooting the night before and you come in the next day and you start doing your video editing and stuff. But
it's several hours.
Pretty much for every hour I shoot, I spend 2 hours editing. Not necessarily editing, but for me, the calling process takes so long because I kind of have an emotional attachment to each photo because of how I got into photography.
Right.
Which is, you know, goes back to the whole bipolar thing. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that, I ended up having to have shock treatments to control my depression because I was not responsive anymore.
Right.
So part of that, after that, was severe migraines and memory loss.
Oh, shit.
So there was like, it wasn't like, I just don't know who I am, you know, like you'd see on TV or some bullshit like that. It was like moments were gone. You know, I didn't remember the birth of my daughter.
Oh.
Which is a huge moment.
Yeah. That's
a huge moment in life. So I would just sit and flip through what little photos I had to try to trigger those memories. Yeah. And I can remember, God, she was probably 13 at the time, leaving her on voicemail at 2 o'clock in the morning sobbing because I could remember her.
Right.
You know? So that to me triggered like, this is how important it is to capture these moments. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sitting here with a fucking shoebox to represent 13 years of her life and 8 years of my son's life. Oh no. So what got me into got me started photography back then was, it was selfish.
So you wouldn't forget.
Yeah. So I could, you know.
It's not selfish. You know what I mean? It's you don't want to forget and just in case, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm capturing that moment so I can go back to it later.
Yeah. So that too, maybe it is selfish for me to want to fucking do this too, because I sit here and this is my exact reason. Is why I was pushing so many of my friends to do music videos or drum videos or whatever. And I'm like, everybody loves watching themselves. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Oh, yeah. Everybody loves photos of themselves.
I watch my drum videos a lot. I will be the first to say it. I've been in bands. Okay, I'm going to touch base on something real quick. So there's a band that's like, we just got 1,000 streams. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, that's cool and all. But I'll be the first to say, because I'm guilty too, when you listen to your own song, at least 4 times a day, times 5 people, you know what I mean?
Right.
For a month, you guys are your damn near 1,000 plays.
Right. That's like the whole thing about they talk about gossip. You know, if one person whispers in your ear, by the time it gets around to the 10th person, that story's stretched or changed exponentially. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's, you know, they're listening to it. And like we talked that one day about, you go, hey man, I can get you some tickets to the show if you want to sell them. Mm-hmm. Like, well, shit, my mom will buy all 10 of them.
Right.
So, you know, your mom's 10 of those listeners, compounded every day, you know, stuff like that.
I got those tickets upstairs, by the way.
Oh, cool. I can
so yeah, sorry. Yeah, I guess that's topic 2.
Yeah, I tend to ramble and jump topics.
Hey, that's right with me. ADHD gang right here.
Just be glad my brothers aren't here, because if all 3 of us together, you'd have 3 separate conversations going at the same time.
It'd be a fucking 9-hour podcast, dude. Yeah. No, so he is one of the photographers that's going to be at the Sofa King Awesome Fest coming up September 2nd. The other photographer, we already did a podcast on him, El Crow Photography, Mr. Corey Garner of that. He will also be there making an appearance. I don't know what time or whatever. He'll just be there, you know.
And I'm really interested in meeting him. I like what he does.
Yeah,
and I'm a questions guy, so I'm gonna bug the shit out of him probably.
He's
the whole time.
very community oriented dude. He's all over, and also too, when he goes to his own events, you know what I mean. He does his own thing, like on his own accord, taking pictures. You know what I mean, and when the city does whatever, I don't know how much of it that he posts is for free. You know what I mean? As like, I know when he goes and sees bands, for example, you know, he takes his camera and takes a picture, you know, takes his pictures and then comes back and posts it. Like, I seen this person last night. So that's obviously for free. And then there are bands who come and, you know, do whatever. Now, I know that we're good friends and we've exchanged businesses, but he didn't charge me when I went and did my band photo shoot. You know what I mean? I've thrown him enough business. Yeah, I've thrown him enough business. And with me, it's vice versa because we're still in the same realm. He's like, just tag me. And every time you share it, just tag me. And I'm like, I respect that, you know? And I've taken that from him, telling someone else. I'm like, if you share my video or the video that I made for you or whatever, just tag me every single time that you share it. Like, that's just down at the bottom. You know, it can be preferably not in the comments.
Right. Yeah. An afterthought.
Yeah, just very, you know, like, hey, this video's from Pekin, da-da-da-da. Hit enter a couple times, and then just put my little tag down at the bottom. You know what I mean? And any shout-out, like, you make it your profile picture. Like, shout-out to, you know.
Right.
Shout-out your camera guy. Like, I'm guilty of not doing it at least a couple times, but I correct myself. So
I've done it before. I've actually tagged the wrong band in a photo before. That was over a year ago, but yeah.
There's a couple times it's where I have to catch it and I make sure that I don't misspell anything or have something run longer into something. So there's a lot of things that go into that.
Over the years of working with some memory loss issues, I've learned some little tricks. So I always save like a photo of where I'm going. Like the list of the band lineup.
Yeah, the flyer or something.
Yeah, or something like that. And like you and I talked at upstairs, because I think I like calling faces in the crowd. Mm-hmm. Just the people that are enjoying the music. So when one band ends, I start photographing people out in the crowd just randomly.
And you've gotten some good pictures doing that.
And you do. And those are the portraits that I prefer, that I think are great. But then, you know, when the next band kind of puts a gap so I know when one band stopped, next band started.
Another one begins.
Because they're probably going to hate hearing this, but when I'm there photographing, I'm not really even hearing the music.
You're so zoned in on that screen or the moment.
I might be hearing Mozart or something in my head or something that's kind of, and that was an old trick that I learned lifting weights. If my workout's going too quick, I slow the music down and I kind of match the pace there. So like, if I'm like shooting too fast, I'm like, okay. And I just start thinking of like slow music. Yeah. So I'm like, it's just kind of like, it's not like I'm like not trying to be supportive or something. It's not like don't like their music, but I'm not really even hearing.
You're in your zone.
And it's like, it's cool. It's fun. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't even notice. And I'm at one bar shooting and this chick comes up next to me. I'm like, oh, hey, click, click, click. You know? Yeah. Not even like noticing.
It's in the zone.
Yeah.
AutoZone. Not a sponsor.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
What kind of camera you shoot on?
I have a Canon R7. It's probably not the high-end camera. It's kind of like a mid-grade crop sensor Canon camera. Autofocus is pretty fast. Mm-hmm. It's a good intermediate camera, I guess you'd say. Yeah. You know, I spent a couple grand on it when it came out. I actually pre-ordered it. You know, it's, I love it because even with it being a crop sensor and mirrorless, it's so much lighter. So when I am out there for 4 hours with this big heavy Sigma lens on the front of my camera, it's not overwhelmingly heavy for me.
Right.
So, and it works. And I finally getting old enough, I bought a camera strap so I can hang it around my neck too.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, how often on your own accord do you go out and shoot?
That's actually almost 100%.
On just you?
Just me. Like I said, I wandered into Dumb Records and I started shooting the punk shows because that's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
You know, that's the scene that I grew up in. And and then, you know, being friends with Keith and having Keith's influence. And, you know, my cousin also in Chicago, she used to shoot. She shot, you know, she stayed in my living room one day. This is years ago. She turned down shooting Bad Religion in Chicago to come see kittens that were just born at my house. I'm like, what the fuck?
She had pictures of those?
The kittens? Oh, yeah. She probably still has them on her phone. She's an amazing photographer, but she did the music scene too, and she does portraiture in Chicago, and she's probably just amazing. And if you guys check her out, her name's Mandy Dempsey.
Heck yeah.
Look at her. You'll understand why all the Dempsey boys are so ugly, because she has got all the looks.
She sucked it from you. Yeah,
she sure did. She's a beautiful girl.
Now we touch base on like how you just come to shows and free and price range, and I think it would be wise. This is just, I guess, just thinking as I'm talking to you. You know what I mean? Maybe just post like 2 or 3. Of cumulative of the night.
Right.
And yeah, if they want more, like, hey, if you want the rest, here's your PayPal or Venmo.
Right.
15, 20, but whatever your price is, you know what I mean?
I would never charge anything outrageous for something like this, because it's not my goal to make a living doing photography.
So it's not my goal to make a living doing videography. Right. Like, I'm trying to make it affordable for content.
Something to help recoup my investment. Not so much because, I walk into even like Dumb Records. I'm not going to say how much my gear costs, because some of those kids I don't trust anymore. But several $1,000s in this little bitty bag, because I also shoot primarily Sigma art lenses. I believe invested in your glass, because that's what you're going to take from camera to camera.
Yeah.
So that's where I put my money. I've got lenses that cost as much as my camera did.
Right.
So I'm watching them. I got several $1,000s worth of gear.
It's a $1,500 lens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking not cheap.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have bought this lens eventually down the road when I could have maybe afforded it more or been a more comfortable purchase.
But so you're happier now.
Right. So I've bought these lenses because now I know that I like shooting live music. I think I'm pretty good at it. So I'm like, okay, I'm making this investment sooner than what I would have budgeted. So like, it wouldn't be bad to get some of that back. I spent money before I really should have. Not the best decision I've ever made, but I'm not known for good decisions. I
spent all this money and I'm like, I'm going to do a free podcast. Here we go.
Right. And like you and I talked, it's like, I get a little bit of money coming in would be great. I have no intentions of stop doing how I'm doing it.
Right. No, I wouldn't want you to either,
No, I enjoy it. I believe if you're good at something and you have a gift, you share.
Right.
I have everything I need, so I'm going to try to give back to the people in the community. My cousin's been in bands for years, 30 some odd years. He's in Peak and Peoria area, a lot of great bands. I'd never seen him actually, I didn't have any photos of him playing. So I went up a few weeks ago and shot him at Pizza Works.
Okay. Peoria.
Yeah. And those are probably some of my most prized photos, because now I have that moment of my cousin.
Finally.
This is the dude that taught me everything that's fucking cool.
Right.
Ever. He's older than me. So it's like, Brody's got a skateboard. I want a skateboard.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like,
for sure.
That was kind of stuff,
Right.
So like, I totally forgot where I was going with that one, but those
capturing those moments.
Yeah. So I have those, but now my mom has it too.
Right.
Mom's, that's my mom's nephew. Her older brother, his dad was a drummer as well. She doesn't have any pictures of it. But so, so mom's now kind of got that moment that kind of ties her
everybody.
Ties her back to her brother even.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, man, it's such an awesome thing to see. I don't know, like I said, everybody working together. I firmly believe metal's making a comeback. I know that every state somewhere has their own tight-knit metal community or just community of people,
right?
And then you start to pick up so I know like the St. Louis group of people. I don't know who all the photographers are, but I do know I'm going to give a shout out to Danny Tilson out in St. Louis, who does a lot of music videos for a lot of bands down there, like Naysayers, Discrepancies, I think maybe Something to Lich. I mean, he's just done so many. And then Jack Daniels, records them as well. And like, so just knowing that other not alternative, but alternate group down there, that the name's going to start spreading like wildfire from here and there. And I would love to collab. Like I said, I don't know how hard or how unthought of it is to have 2 videographers or, collabing on doing something, or just, I don't know, working together is what I'm trying to get at, and having that own tight-knit community of people, of all these bands, that enjoy coming to everybody at other bands' shows when they don't have a show. You know what I mean?
I'm the kind of guy that if I have something that might work better for you or help you out, I'm going to share. If somebody asks me a question, I'm going to answer that question. That first metal night at the Curve, the guy was setting up and he had, I think, a 50 mil on his camera, which is about field of view, normal field of view. I'm like, dude, I got an 18 to 35 zoom that I'm probably not going to use here. And it's at f1.8, so it's going to go down and do better low light. You're more than welcome to use it. So this guy, I think his name is Chris Cummings. I think.
Yep.
Chris,
I'm friends with him. Chris Cummings podcast.
Chris, hell of a guy.
Yeah.
$1,000 lens. I'm like, I don't even know this dude.
Right.
Put it on your camera and use it. It's going to be, it might be better for what you're trying to do. And if I have it, I'm not using it. Feel free. Right. Yeah. It's because it's a community. It's working together. It's everybody supporting each other.
And so I'll shout out my prices real quick for videography in case anybody's missed that post. So you'll have to book me for your show. You have to see if I'm available first off. So I've done a few videos. Some are not, they're not all the same. Like some were just the footage with the filter thrown on it to make it look good.
Right.
Just for another band. And then Soul Sleepers was put together very well. You know what I mean?
Really
the bunny,
nice.
the bear
like
was put together very well. You know what I mean?
You did a great job.
Thank you. And I just wanted to put those examples as soon as I could so everybody could see. You know what I mean? Like we're not out here with normal cell phone footage dubbing your single to it. You know what I mean? Like we're investing in high-end, state-of-the-art, latest tech equipment, and we want to see you in your best atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like I know you're there killing it. I know you're there happy. And I want to capture it.
Yeah.
Like
I love the performance aspect of it.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Hell
If I go to a show and the band's working the crowd, getting them up excited, calming them down, they're moving about the stage, I'm going to take more photos. I'm going to have more fun because they're having more fun. We're going to get better content out of that.
Yep.
And it's nothing against the guys that just stand in front of their mics. I get it. I'd be scared shitless. I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't make it up there without something running down my leg.
There's even national acts that I've seen that there's been such a badass band that plays that is your favorite, and then the following act is still another band that you like, but they did so well pumping up the crowd. It's like now you got to follow them, and it's just like, dude,
we're at the Head PE show together, at the same time, and those guys, that's the perfect example. The pit's getting crazy, and somebody dropped a beer bottle, and I saw you were cleaning it up, and it was towards the end of a song. The band, I don't know if they did it intentionally, but they changed to a slower tempoed song.
Right.
So the crowd calmed down. They got the beer bottle cleaned up. Everything was good to go. The next song was a faster tempo.
Rager,
Yeah, and got people back in there. So, that's an example of a good performing band.
Right.
Yeah. They were fun to shoot. It was cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun show.
Yeah, it was.
And then, so it's $50 for me to just come record your set.
I think that's fair.
And that's a gig a minute. So the space, I'll put it on an SD card or whatever, but it's about a gig a minute is what we're looking at as far as the size of the files. Within the Springfield or 30 minutes, 35 minutes of Jacksonville in any direction, I'm not charging a gas fee. It's 35 cents a mile after that, both ways. If you're in Pekin or St. Louis or somewhere, that's 3 hours of drive time, for me, and, depending on how much equipment we have to bring. If it's just the camera, that's fine. But, and then the second bundle is I come record your set, you get that footage, or I store it. It doesn't matter, and then I make you one full-length music video out of, all the footage or, a couple videos all pieced together, slow-mo parts and speed ramps and stuff. And, yeah, that's $125.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
it's not bad at all.
That covers really the cost of the SD card. If I can find a decent one for a decent price.
Right. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, "Oh, you can reuse your SD card." Do you give them the card?
Yeah. So if they want their footage, then the SD card's on them.
I reuse my SD cards. As soon as I import to Lightroom, I dump my card.
Right. Yeah.
There's no reason for me to keep this anymore.
So same with all this stuff. As soon as I get it onto so I have a 2 terabyte drive, or as soon as I get it off the card, it's right into the camera clearing it. Right. Formatting it.
Yeah, yep. I clear it before I even take it out of Lightroom.
Oh, really?
While it's plugged into my MacBook now, I just delete all. Right. And then people are like, "Oh, well, you can reuse your card. It's the expenses, not there." Those cards cost a lot of money. Oh yeah. People look and they think that, "Oh, you're taking pictures with this fancy camera and these amazing lenses," but all that other stuff really costs a lot of money and really makes a difference. If you get a card that's a slow upload and download, it's going to be hard for your there's almost $300.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be harder for your camera to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
So if you buy one of those real high functioning $300 cards, it makes it more efficient for your camera to work. You get more stuff and better quality.
So yeah, even so, by the time we'll drop this probably a little bit early, I'll probably drop this in a few days or something just to get the message out. But even the video that I just shot and we just put out is going to be, I'm not saying considerably different, but we're getting the Vlog firmware upgrade to this, and we're going to be running that smoother memory card because it'll be here soon. So everything's going to look that much more cleaner.
Right.
You know?
And I've always everybody's like, oh, you need because I say shoot Sigma art. It's a great lens. And I was kind of skeptical of people like, oh, these lenses are so expensive, but it does. The better quality gear does make a difference on the quality of image and video that you're putting out.
Oh, facts. Yeah. And it leads to better. So yeah, we got that Sleep Signals interview with
Great
them.
show.
That was just me just talking to him, just shooting shit. And by then we'll have that and we'll be able to make them a fucking music video, a live music video. And that's just putting it out there for them, man, and yes, they're a national act. They're already there. They're already paying their dues. You know what I mean? So the least I could do is make them a music video. You know what I mean? Like I've already paid to see them. This is then here's my thank you for such a good show.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I did for the Bunny the Bear. I was like, hey man, here's my thank you for fucking kicking ass. I'm like, you guys are awesome frontmen. You put on a fucking good show. Now I'm not going to take my camera to like a huge national act band unless I'm booked. Right. You know what I mean? And then be like Slaughter to Prevail or Thy Art is Murder. You know what I mean? Unless I'm going to hold the venue and yada yada. You know what I mean? That's a completely different story. But for like the intimate venues that we're already cool with, you know what I mean? That bring these big acts around there and you get the one-on-one experience, through the podcast and whatever else. That's, I think, is also going to get it a lot tighter because the bands that I've had here, they're like, dude, I love what you're doing. I love that you're doing this for because it is for everybody. So touch base on why I want you to do a music video or podcast is so your fucking family has something to look back on. You know what I mean?
Again,
your fans have something to connect with you on a personal level. I think I just said kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
Your kids can see your drum video or your music video.
Like I was talking with my mom and, having that photo of her nephew
tickets.
playing
the
drums, and her brother was a drummer. So, kind of, you're giving somebody forever. It's this moment.
Whether it be your mom, your kids, you.
Yeah, like your daughter's children are going to be able to look back at this maybe when you're not here anymore and see what their grandfather was like.
And that's so funny or not funny. The reason why I started my drum channel was not just because I've been drumming for fucking ever and I needed a drum channel. I'm a dad and I wanted my daughter to look back on something, to have something to look back on. And anytime she wanted. A couple of the first songs were dedicated to her, and throughout are, like generally dedicated to her, but I'd let her pick what songs, like, hey, out of these three, which song? So there's going to be Bruno Mars, there's going to be Maroon 5, there's going to be these real poppy songs, and that's what I did. And then now, I mean, It's MGK 24/7, and I'm not gonna jam MGK.
I don't blame you. I've never heard one of his songs. I have no real interest in it. Not that I don't think maybe he is a really great musician. He's really talented, but
honestly, dude,
just not my taste.
Yeah, I did take her to go see him during his pop punk phase or whatever he's doing. He puts on a good fucking show. All right, his production value was amazing. The people that he had open up for him were awesome. We was at an arena show pretty much. So it was dope. It was a good show. You know what I mean? I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I also know, metal is not everyone's cup of tea either. You know what I mean? And just trying to spread awareness to the good bands that are out there. I just feel like that.
See, I've never really been a heavy metal guy.
Yeah.
I've, I listened to Sabbath and shit when I was growing up, Ozzy, all the stuff back in the 80s in my time, but I've always been more of a punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like punk. I love ska, two-tone, blue beat. Soul. I love slower stuff.
Were you talking about Engine Huey?
Oh, no, that wasn't me.
No.
That's something I'm going to have to try to remember and look up now, though.
So, yeah, I'll show them to you before you leave. Cool. But they were there at that Bunny the Bear show with Soul Sleeper, and they'll actually be on here, and they're from Peoria. So they're real big, Nirvana background, grunge, that grunge punk scene right there. And I totally dig that.
And anymore, like I said, some of these bands that I've come to shoot, I've never heard of them. Mm-hmm. It's not always my taste of music, but I've come to like. I mean, not come to like,
Grown
but I've
to like
discovered, not grown. I'm like, holy shit, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, where the fuck have I been hiding all this time?
And also, as I'm sitting here editing these music videos, I'm like, I'm not saying I consider myself part of the band. That's not it. But I'm saying I sit there and I listen to it so much, just as much as them if they were recording it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I'm listening to the same song
Yeah.
for 6 hours, dude.
Yeah. Like we were talking about listeners for, people that have just released music.
Yeah.
Guys, Sonic Sunday from Taylorville. I'm probably on 150 of your listens.
Yeah.
that are
Jamming
on there.
out, yeah.
They're great guys.
I think they're going to be on here too. I think somebody else said something about getting them on here. There's a lot of people. There's Astrofix. I've had a lot of people that have messaged me recently. So
It's great. It's
I
good.
will touch base.
It's really cool to see this blowing up and everybody's showing interest.
It's good, and I try for the far away bands. I know this is odd, I guess, but I'm like, I try to make it worth their while because they're coming here from an hour and a half. So, I mean, I'll try to throw down gas with them, have dinner here, whether it be like one. So I have sponsors here, so I could have Leo's Pizza or some barbecue here, from one of my sponsors, and then we can all pig out.
Food motivates, man.
Yeah. So we can sit here, smoke weed, they can drink, do whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's a natural atmosphere. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
but
like you
spotlight's
said, I'm
on you.
You when you asked me if I wanted to be in this, I'm like, I'm the most uninteresting person you probably know.
And you're the most talkative person I've had on here.
I'm a little keyed up from restarting antidepressants, Yeah.
We both got ADHD, so they're probably like, what story went where?
6 days I didn't have a fucking latte. And I literally, when I woke up this morning and realized I could go make a fucking espresso in my kitchen, I fucking ran.
He's like, I forgot about that.
This amazing bean
amazing.
juice. Oh my God, I can do everything now. It's
now, what all socials are you on? Are you just on Facebook or are you on Facebook and Instagram?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I'm not the oldest guy. I'm 45, but I feel like an old man sometimes with technology. I haven't quite got my Instagram and my photography to the Facebook to link because I've got my Instagram linked to my personal page. So I got to go through.
Okay.
And it's not like I haven't figured it out. It's just I haven't taken the time.
Sit down. No, I know. It's just like deleting all my emails or unsubscribing from shit that I don't fucking need.
Yeah, what's this bullshit? Like if you click unsubscribe for 2 weeks, everything's pretty well disappears. All that bullshit, it never happens. Nobody can do it for 2 weeks solid.
Never. No. Not at all. Well, hell yeah, man. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to touch base on?
No, I think I've rambled pretty well, man.
I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I did see one thing that you had on your board for a question. Is your favorite local band?
Oh yeah, I didn't ask that yet. I was waiting for that at the end. So good thing you bring that up.
I saw that on there. I'm like, dude, you're gonna put me in the spot. So I've been sitting here. I'm like,
I didn't. So we've seen a lot of local bands.
We have. I think in that 1 month, I shot 26 bands.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's probably fucking.
And I'm basing this on like who's my favorite. I'm not gonna pick one favorite.
Right.
There are several bands.
What are a couple? Give me like 3 to 5 that have stood out to you.
So of course Woody LeBaron,
punk scene. I knew that.
I grew up with those guys.
Yeah, Taylorville
guys. Brad Gilpin and I think we probably kindergarten on.
Yeah.
His grandpa lived down the alley. Dave Morgan played soccer with my oldest brother. Dave McDonald. Dave McDonald is probably one of the sources I got early from like punk music. Dave was like, oh, hey, try this.
Right.
I heard Green Day before Green Day was popular.
Right.
From Dave.
Right.
So, and then Tyler, I grew up with his mother, rest in peace. She was a great woman.
Right on.
Then like meeting the guys in Hessian Lord. They've been so supportive. They're great guys. They're just good people.
Yeah, they are.
Slaughter Dog and Misery Garden, just good people. Johnny calls me out when I'm in there. He's like I'm part of the freaking band. And I'm like, I get a little big headed here.
Right.
I'm like, people know me. This
nice.
is cool. Yeah.
Hey.
But I can't pick just one. It's like all of them because
it's a lot.
They're good people.
Yeah, they are.
Robot Army, met them when I first started. I think the first metal show I shot at Buzzbomb, and it was like we're just friends automatically almost. And they're very supportive. These guys, and Slaughter Dog are the only people that ever paid me for a photo.
That's what's up.
Besides my mom. I think I made $100 last year in photography, and 50 of it was.
You got a Venmo or PayPal or anything yet?
Yeah, I got Venmo and Zelle and stuff, and it's just like, I'll take a tip if somebody wants to give a tip.
Yeah,
this kind of thing. So I'm gonna put my Venmo and stuff on my Instagram or my page.
All right, well shoot me your Venmo later, and we'll put that down in the description and everything. So cool, man. Well, thank you for stopping by, Josh.
I really appreciate you inviting me. I was pretty taken aback by the invitation, honestly.
Hell yeah. No, I wanted, it's,
I'm just a guy with a camera.
yeah,
you know?
but it's a mute, you know, the scene is going to be, it is, I'm not saying, I don't want to say one big family, but it's just one big happy family, man, you know, because like,
really, it's cool. It really
if you don't
is
see
cool.
someone like liking your stuff, you know what's up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of people that were concerned, and you know, it's hard to reach out to somebody.
I was like,
but
I know I posted a lot. He's got to
Yeah.
fucking see something.
Yeah, for me, and I've told people this for years. It's just as simple as, doing okay today, man?
Right. No, I do.
Yeah, if you're wondering, send me a message and ask if I'm doing all right today.
I do that to, you are a new friend, so I would be
Yeah.
guilty of like not having that in me. But like I said, I
mean,
did notice.
it was a part of my life you didn't know about.
Right. Right. But I do that to the homies. I tell them, you know, hey man, have a good day, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't do it every day. I don't do it, you know, all the time. It's just if I'm getting ready to go to work, 7:30. I'm thinking about some homies. Like, hey, bro, have a good day, and I'll do it to 2 or 3 of them.
Let's not wait to celebrate the life until it's gone. Let's celebrate it while it's here.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got somebody you just notice like hasn't been around for a while, say, hey, what's up, man? You doing all right? Let's go grab a beer.
Mm-hmm.
I set a new rule for myself. If somebody says, hey, let's go have a beer. Well, I'm got to drop the booze for a while because
have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, let's go have a cup of coffee. You know,
Cup of coffee.
I might have some ticker issues going on, and I don't want to, you know, get too excited
riled
about
up.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to turn down an invitation to go hang out unless, you know, something else is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You never know when you're going to make a new friend.
That's right, dude.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, man.
Well, cool, man. All right. Well, this has been an awesome episode with
Thank
one of
you.
my new friends and a local Springfield photographer, JD Photography, right? JD,
Yep.
or you go
JD Photography, J Dempsey. Actually, my daughter made that logo for me. She's got a degree in, so she's got some graphic
It's
design.
very sleek.
Yeah, it took like 6 months for to get her to do it because hey, it's dad, you know.
No, I feel.
And then
that.
like 5 minutes later, I've got something back from her.
It's like, well, how long did that take you?
Hey, she's a busy girl. She is.
No, I get that. Well, thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
It's been an amazing time. We're gonna sit here and shoot some shit afterwards, and we hope you liked it.
Yeah,
Go check him out. Venmo him some money for the pictures that he's taken of you so far.
It's not a big deal if you don't. You know,
No,
if you
I know.
send me
We will.
something and it's like too much, I'll probably send it back to you. Honestly.
No, it's so
Yeah.
you got a big heart, dude. We get it. We'll hook you up. I got you.
Appreciate it.
So, till next time.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.